It ends well. Damon Williams back in Seattle after flirting with the transfer portal, and Husky fans are delighted with how that worked out because he is special. First full year as a starter this past season, threw for more than 3,000 yards, 25 TDs, led all Big Ten QBs in rushing as well, more than 600 yards on the ground and 6 touchdowns. It starts with a bang for Williams and company. Washington opens at home with the Apple Cup game. 5 of their first 6 games are in Seattle. All 6 are on the West Coast, as a lone road game in that stretch is at USC. The road trips to Purdue and Nebraska broken up by a bye. Again, that consistent with the scheduling priorities. They also get Penn State at home. The finishing stretch is not for the faint of heart. Indiana in Seattle before a trip to Eugene. I think the question is, can you put together enough wins and enough momentum to make those last 2 games as big as they could be? I mean, those could be among the 2 biggest games in the conference this year if Washington is where I know they hope they will be.
And that sustainability throughout the season will matter a lot. And you hope that as Damon Williams now has multiple seasons within this program and multiple years working with Jedd Fisch over and over again, that he can, as he has now made the decision to be the Huskies quarterback for this coming season, that he can be that leader that allows them to ascend late. I look towards that Week 10 game, November 7th, against Penn State. That's one of those types of games where we know that Penn State always has talent on defense. We anticipate that Matt Campbell will be the type of coach that will have them prepared for that. But that sets up for that finishing kick, that finishing stretch that you referenced there. And so that Penn State game is one that I think for the Dogs could be something that sets them up to perhaps. We saw them in and out of the rankings last year. They don't want to be that program. They want to be that team that you can count on week in and week out to continue to grow and ascend. And Damon Williams, he's one of the most bombastically dynamic talents in the country. So if he is there and he's healthy, whoever the new-ish playmakers are that will surround him at receiver and in the backfield, we know he'll be able to set them up to also be productive in their own right.
Right. I do think there's the question mark there. You know that Jonah Coleman's gone. You know that Denzel Boston's gone. And so, I mean, Desmond Roebuck obviously is a big part of the solution at wide receiver. But we've seen them get steadily better here under Jedd Fisch. Year 2 was much better. And I'm with you. I think you look at that team and you say they're probably going to start the year in the top 25. And then kind of where can they go from there? We saw the game in Lincoln on Halloween for Washington. What about the rest of the schedule for the Huskers? They will look to build on consecutive bowl seasons, 7-6 for the second year in a row for Matt Rule's program. They did fade down the stretch, dropping 4 of their last 5 games, including the bowl game against Utah. Part of that due to the loss of QB Dylan Raiola, who was subsequently transferred to Oregon, replaced by Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year, Anthony Calandria from UNLV. The Huskers kick off next season with 2 MAC foes. The conference opener is in East Lansing. First conference game for Spartan coach Pat Fitzgerald. They host defending national champ Indiana in Week 6 before going to Oregon. So consecutive games there against playoff teams. They also have a home game against Ohio State. Add in the season finale against Iowa, and they face the 4 highest-ranked Big Ten teams from this season in terms of the postseason poll. It's a tough one. They have 3 of the non-bowl teams, though, from last year. Again, that's not saying there'll be non-bowl teams this year, but I think as you try to parse it out. But Nebraska definitely going to be tested.
And in year 4 for Matt Rule, you and I communicate with Nebraska fans frequently enough. We know the excitement that they have for what this season may be. And having Dana Holgorsen back again, consecutive years as the full offensive play caller for a full season anticipated here, then his system will be in place. They ended up showcasing the ability to really lean into that ground attack in a big way last year. Feels to me like that will pay dividends because it allowed their offensive line to sort of grow and mature throughout the season. Out of any position group, though, the defensive front is one that I really hope we can see growth, development, the talent that's been brought in the portal. But I looked at that Week 6 game against the Indiana Hoosiers. Some back-to-back games right there. You know, you referenced Indiana, Oregon before a bye week. So you can build towards that bye Week 6, Week 7, and really see if Nebraska's in a position to make some hay because they are one of the main teams that has yet to make the CFP that folks are anticipating. They're building in that direction. So that, to me, is a pivotal 2-game stretch there before they get their bye.
We mentioned lines of scrimmage. I think just in talking about Rule, we had him on Big Ten Today. feel like that was December, and he was talking about lines of scrimmage got to be better. He's really excited about Rob Orich, the new defensive coordinator, and hoping that will help on the defensive side. But they did take a pretty big offensive jump this past year under Holgorsen with his first full year. And a team that's hoping to do a similar thing is Northwestern. They need to improve the offense, and they are not messing around. They hired Chip Kelly as their new offensive coordinator. He is no stranger to the Big Ten. He coordinated Ohio State's national championship offense in 2024, been a head coach at Oregon and UCLA as well as in the NFL. Cats haven't finished in the top half of the Big Ten in scoring since 2017. They'll try to reverse that trend against this schedule. They have a bit of an oddly timed bye. It comes in week 2 after opening with South Dakota State. Still unclear which game will be the first one at the new Ryan Field. They are slated to announce that next week. They'll play all 3 of the Big Ten's playoff teams from this year, and they play them all on the road starting September 26th in Bloomington. They go to Oregon in October, Ohio State in November. Not an easy slate, Ant, but some real optimism with the staff moves, the new stadium, a bowl win. This is a program that's got some momentum.
I was kind of hopeful you were about to break the news about which game would be at the new Ryan Field, kind of opening things up. A little bit disappointed, and I'm a little bit disappointed myself.
I'm a constant source of disappointment.
Yes, right. I saw Chip Kelly a few weeks ago, roughly a week before the announcement came. I was at the Army-Navy game. Chip Kelly was there. We were having some pleasantries before the game, hanging out on the field. He didn't tell me anything about being Northwestern's new offensive coordinator. So that news hit. I was so excited for the Wildcats. And then you add in Aiden Childs, one of these most talented quarterbacks in the Big Ten from last season. And we have seen throughout his college career what he can be at his peak. So now you have with David Braun, who I view as a proven commodity now as a head coach, 2 out of his 3 seasons, winning a bowl game. He knows how to run that program. The excitement headed towards the new Ryan Field. You get one of the most storied offensive minds in the sport of this century as your OC, and now one of the most talented quarterbacks in the Big Ten, and Aiden Childs coming in. This is a lot to me that is really building for the Wildcats.
What do you think about all the success UCLA had with Jerry Neuheisel when he took over as the play caller? He's the quarterback's coach now for Northwestern as well. So, yeah, no doubt, a lot of enthusiasm for the Wildcats. Of course,